In 13th century Anatolia, there are stories, but these are not legends. They are not tales created for those who wish to believe. They did not spread because they were repeated. They survived because those who saw them chose silence. What was witnessed could not be spoken easily, because once spoken, its weight would be lost. These stories were written down very late, not because they were forgotten, but because they resisted being turned into words. What was seen was not a miracle. It was not an interruption of nature. It was knowledge, a knowledge that could only be carried by those who had crossed certain limits of being human. The arrival of this knowledge in Anatolia did not come in human form. It came in the form of a dove. It is said that Hacı Bektaş Veli entered Anatolia from Crusader in the shape of a dove. This was never described as a spectacle. It was not told to impress. It was told quietly as a sign. Because for those who understood this path, form was never fixed. The human form was only one possibility among many. For them, changing form was not a skill. It was not a display of power. It was not something to be shown. It was knowledge about the boundaries of being human, about how far awareness could stretch before the self dissolved. Hacı Bektaş did not arrive to conquer land. He arrived to establish presence. In Crusader, he founded a lodge. But this lodge was not a lodge in the ordinary sense. It was not built to teach doctrine. It was not built to transmit rules. It was a school where the human being was observed as a vessel, a school where the inner power of the human was understood as something that could align with the energy of the Creator. Nothing was explained openly there. Knowledge was not handed down. Methods were not taught. Those who arrived did not speak. They watched, sometimes for months, sometimes for years. Silence was the first lesson. Observation was the second. Hacı Bektaş never explained the changing of form directly, because this knowledge could not be taught. If learned without transformation, it could be misused. If carried by ordinary minds, it could turn into domination or into illusion. This knowledge could only be witnessed, and only if one reached the state of the perfected human could it be carried. Even then, it was never guaranteed. Some could carry it, some could not. That is why, despite the many people around him, only a few were ever known as his true students, because this path was not a chain passed from hand to hand. It was not lineage. It was not inheritance. It was a walk that left traces. Those traces did not belong to one place. They crossed valleys. They passed through forests. They touched cities, villages, and wilderness alike. Each person who walked this path left the trace differently, and each trace formed a line that connected distant lives, without ever turning into a rule. One of those who walked this line would later be known by another name, but at that time, no one knew who he was. He did not announce himself. He did not teach. He did not explain. People only noticed what did not happen. When he walked through the forest, the animals did not flee. Deer did not run. Birds did not scatter. Dogs did not bark, as if they recognized something older than fear, as if they were not seeing a stranger, but remembering something familiar. This was not spoken about openly. It was noticed, and then carried in silence, because this path was never meant to be explained, only followed. This is not a legend. This is not a myth. This is the beginning of the journey, of a knowledge that was witnessed, and of the one who would later be known as Geyikli Baba. Geyikli Baba was among the followers of Hacı Bektaş. He passed through the path that Hacı Bektaş had established. In his youth, he spent time in various lodges across Anatolia and took part in the gatherings of the Bektashi elders. In these gatherings, the name of Hacı Bektaş was mentioned often, but every time, the same emphasis was made. He did not teach the changing of form. For a long time, Geyikli Baba could not understand what this sentence truly meant. Like many others, he believed that knowledge could be transmitted. But when he realized that he himself could transform into a deer, he understood that he was not learning something new, but becoming one with the energy of the Creator. This was what Hacı Bektaş had meant.
The event begins with a hunt. A Crusader soldier, moving through the inner regions of Anatolia, spots a deer in the forest. The animal is alone.
The soldier releases his arrow. It strikes the deer, but does not kill it. The deer begins to flee. Blood drips onto the ground. Not wanting to lose his prey, the soldier gives chase. But this is not an ordinary hunt. The deer neither escapes completely, nor surrenders. It is as if it allows itself to be followed. The forest grows denser. The path opens into a region unfamiliar to the soldier. As the deer approaches the vicinity of a lodge, it begins to slow down. The soldier sees the deer heading toward the lodge gate. And at that very moment, the central event of the accounts takes place. The deer stops before the soldier's eyes. It does not run. It does not collapse. Instead, it takes on human form. It is wounded. The arrow is still embedded in its body. But it is no longer an animal. The soldier now sees Geyikli Baba standing before him. This moment is the breaking point of the story. Because here, the transformation is not a miracle being told, but a reality witnessed by a foreign eye. The soldier cannot deny what he has seen, because the event takes place entirely outside his own system of belief. Geyikli Baba does not explain anything to the soldier. He does not defend himself. He does not teach. He simply leads him to the lodge. The arrow is removed, the wound is treated, and the soldier remains there. The soldier suppressed is not the result of persuasion. He stays because he can find no other way to explain what he has witnessed. Because in the world he had known, until that moment, a human being could not turn into a deer. After this event, the name of Geyikli Baba spreads. But each time the story is told, it changes slightly. Some say the deer was Geyikli Baba from the beginning. Some claim the soldier hallucinated, but the soldier himself says the same thing. Until the end of his life, I shot a deer, and I encountered a man. It is this testimony that explains why the knowledge of transformation remained hidden. Because this knowledge does not work when it is explained, it works when it is seen. When Hacı Bektaş hears of this event, he is not surprised, because he knows where the path leads. His silence, therefore, is not a lack, but a deliberate protection. Until the end of his life, I shot a deer, and I encountered a man. When knowledge falls into the wrong hands, it becomes distorted. In the right place, it reveals itself. This story does not end here, because after Geyikli Baba, there will be those believed to speak with snakes, those seen as birds, those said to be in more than one place at the same time. He is not surprised, because he knows where the path leads. His silence, therefore, is not a lack, but a deliberate protection. Until the end of his life, I shot a deer, and I encountered a man, and some of these accounts will be carried to other lands by Crusaders leaving Anatolia, but there, these stories will be torn from their context and turned into fear, power, and spectacle. That is why the central question of this world is this: does a human believe what he sees? Or does he see what he is able to believe?
Please subscribe and like for more.